I am incredibly honored to have with me a very, very kind gentleman. Before I introduce him, let me just apologize for the delay for the live. I had to log out of Facebook, log back in. It was a whole thing. So I do apologize. I take full responsibility. It wasn't anybody else's fault on this call. But anyway, anyway, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Scaling with Systems podcast, where I am your host, Ravi. And today I have an incredible guest, Adam. Adam, I'll let him kind of introduce himself in a second here.
Oh, no, you didn't. Just skip my last name, bro.
But
look, guys, you think you pay Ravi all this money and for him to at least know your name?
Totounji?
Totounji.
Nah, that's what I said. Totounji. I said Totounji.
You didn't say anything. You said, I'm gonna let Adam introduce himself.
No, it's there's a lag in the camera. Okay. Listen, man, people don't pronounce my name right. Okay, so just anyway.
Ravi Abuvala, bro.
What I was saying, I was trying to be nice and introduce you nicely. Like that's what I was doing right here. So now I'm gonna introduce you poorly. I'm gonna say Adam's a real, you know what, guys. Don't listen to him. Anyway, so Adam's a cool guy. Ironically enough, Adam came to my house in San Diego to interview one of my roommates a little over a year ago for his podcast. And you know, we talked about like business and scaling and stuff like that. And he was definitely interested, but we both kind of went our separate ways. And then he would just text me every once in a while and ask some advice, and I gave it to him. And then I forgot who reached out to who, but even more recently, probably 3 months ago, I got on his podcast. And at the end of the podcast, or no, wait, you asked me how much for an hour of my time. And you paid me, which I love that. He didn't even say, hey, let's get on a call. He said, how much for an hour of your time? I told him the number. He paid it. We got on, had an awesome call. Then he invited me on his podcast. Then after the podcast, he essentially ended up joining Scaling with Systems. Joined Scaling with Systems, takes his business, which is called Mogul Insider, pretty badass concept. We refine it together to make the back-end delivery a little bit more of a fucking banger. And we add in lead generation on the front end. He hits, I don't know, it was like, what is it, 27,000 in the first 2 weeks?
In the first week and a half. Yeah,
first week and a half.
$25,600.
Yeah. And then he comes back to me and is like, I want more. And so I was like, we've never done this before, but you can join the Scaling Initiative, which is my high level program. And he's like, I'm in, which by the way, if you haven't noticed a trend, just a quick little tip for everybody on here. Adam was taking action like nobody I've ever met. Honestly, like myself. He was just like, boom, I'll invest. Boom, I'll invest some more. Boom, I'll take what I learn and I'll apply it. And I think that's a lot to do with the success that he has right now. So anyway, from Scaling with Systems to Scaling Initiative in less than 30 days. So from my regular program to my high level program, literally in less than 30 days. Now he's cooking with his company, Mogul Insider. He works with people like Grant Cardone, Ed Milet. He works with some really, really big wigs. But anyway, Adam, I'd love for you to introduce yourself. Tell everybody a little bit about kind of what Mogul Insider does. You know, how do they help people, just in case somebody in here might be interested in about it. And then we'll kind of dive a little bit more as far as your journey and how you got to where you are right now.
Yeah, so Mogul Insider first initially started as just a podcast. So I personally first started entrepreneurship, I guess, in the age of 18. I dropped out of college, started a business with my dad. It was a cybersecurity business. That was my first kind of fun of the B2B world. He knew how to fulfill. I was like, I'm going to get you clients, you fulfill. I started that. That was really hard.
Adam's dad is a client of ours now too.
Oh yeah, he is. Oh, cool. Now, where's my commissions, bro?
It's on the way. It's in the checking mail.
But yeah, so basically I started. That was like my first concept in business. It was really tough industry. It's a really tough industry to get into. But I loved it. Like, I don't know. I just kind of, even though I was barely making any money, the concept of working for anybody was just like a no bueno for me. So I was like, all right, this is cool. But I wasn't really fulfilled. I didn't feel like I could really push my limits because my dad was my dad and he's very technical. And he was kind of like, hey, let's take it easy. He's 55, established, he's chilling, doesn't really need much. So I went off and I started Mogul Insider. It was first a podcast. And it was a very selfish reason. My idea was, how am I going to learn how to build a business? And I was like, let me just go learn from people who know how to do it. And I was like, how can I do that for free? I was like, start a freaking podcast. Okay, cool. Invite all these dope ass people on your podcast. Have them interview them for an hour and low key ask questions and get your answers. I'd be taking notes every single podcast. I'm like, okay, all right, cool. And so that was initially the starter kit of it, right? It was literally just a show. Network blew up like 6 months in. I probably like Ed Mylett, all these big names, like they knew me first name by name. It was fun. I really liked it, but I wasn't monetizing it at all. And I had all this ambition, all this like desire to kill it. And in my head, I was like, yo, like I'm gonna do something with my life. I was just running on a treadmill, and that's how it felt. And then I met like Santa Claus came to town. And at that point I had maybe like 2 clients. I was making maybe like, what was it, like $7,000 to $10,000 a month, something like that. And it was crazy because just to let you know, guys, everybody that's listening, I was adapting my offer like almost daily. Like whatever it is I could do to get a hand on something, I was doing it. Like at that point, it was just like a ride or die type of thing. I had to pay my bills the next month, and I was not gonna go get a job. And so I was like, you know what? I got to a point where like a year into the podcast, I'm making no money. I'm still working with my dad. I'm like, yo, this is horrible. What do I do? And God works in crazy ways. My dad ends up, it's funny because I helped him set up a LinkedIn campaign at that point. And one of the guys I reached out to for my dad's podcast ended up being my first client. He came into the office, got to know my dad, and he walks into to my office space right here, and he's like, so what do you do? And at that point, I'm like, I run a show. Yeah, that's what I do. And he's like, oh, that's cool. Like, tell me more. And so I was like, yeah, my goal I really like branding. I think it's awesome. I love the fact that, I feel like you create a legacy when you build a personal brand because the content you post online is there forever. And so to me, it's like a legacy play. And I guess he loved me so much. He was like, yo, how can I do business with you? And I'm like, I don't freaking know, dude. That's a good question. And I kind of just threw it at him. I'm like, you know what? I do have a network of podcasts. If you're interested, I can get you booked on these podcasts. He's like, sure, how much? I'm like, 3,000. Okay, cool. Let's do it. I'm like, what the okay, that just happened. All right, that was interesting. So he ends up literally sitting right here, dude. He pulls out his Amex. He's like, here you go. He's $3,000 a month for 7 shows. And that's when it all started. I was like, okay, there's a business here. Interesting. And so when me and you met, I had 2 clients, one and then another guy. They're both paying me $3K a month, 3 to 4K. It was total about $7,000, $8,000. And then, getting them booked on these 7 shows. Now what it's turned into is what I like to call it like a personal brand accelerator company type of thing, right? I'm really not in this for the money as most like, which may sound funny because if you look at the back end, I'm doing a lot of freaking work, a lot. I just really love it. Like I genuinely love building brands. Like it's so much fun, and the effect it has on people's lives is just insane. It blows my mind. So yeah, that's kind of what Mogul Insider is right now. We work with high-level CEOs, anybody from like $500,000 plus. I mean, I take on certain clients who are lower, but it's preferably not. It's to kind of really scale their company, what I'd like to say globally, because when you're on social media, you're access to 7 billion people around the world. And I do that by, in one offer, we get them booked on 7 podcasts a month. We create content for them. We manage their social media. We create a whole funnel system for them. We generate leads for them, all in one solution. And yes, that's kind of what we do now.
Yeah, I love it. It's so funny. And like, I'm now a client, like, so you're a client of mine. Now I'm a client of yours as well. Right. So I've worked with Mogul Insider also with some really incredible results. And so I love the thing about working with your dad, and yeah, it's true. Like, I had the option to work with my parents a little bit as well, but like you're kind of at different stages in the life, and unless your parents are like this like real unicorn that's like gung-ho heavy, like an Ed Mylett at like 50 plus 40 plus, who's just like still waking up early and grinding harder than everybody else, most people are kind of hitting hitting over on the other side of the hill there, and they're kind of putting it in a neutral and just coasting at that point. And so it's really easy, and I've seen it happen before, to just like fall in this complacency schedule. And I like how you kind of weren't accepting it. You struck out on your own. And inadvertently, I think you were building an asset by building this network, this podcast. Like you didn't really realize you were building this asset, but that's just like something that was happening from you connecting with all these people, getting on their podcast, getting to know them by their first name basis. And then it's kind of cool because then, like what we talk about in scaling with systems is like, you kind of sold it before you even built it, which was like the guy walks in and he's like, you're like, well, what can you do for me? And you're like, what do I have to give you? And you're like looking in your bag of tricks and you find, oh, well, I have this network of people. And did you just pull out the number 7? Was that just like, I think I can do 7? How did that number come up?
So look, again, I go back, God works in awesome ways. Literally a couple of days before this, I was talking to David Meltzer's team. Right. And I was like, hey, what's up, guys? What are you guys up to? And, I like to keep in touch with all my relationships. And just so happened that the conversation came up where they were like, yo, we are actually interested in getting into this whole booking people on podcasts because it's a hot industry. And I'm like, oh really, what do you guys do? And they were like, oh yeah, we for like this much money we get people booked on 7 shows. And so when he came up to me, that's why I pulled out the number. I was like, oh, David's doing it, so
I love that. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, that's and podcasts are super powerful. I just had mine. I had one marketing school with Eric Sue and Neil Patel that literally just went published today. 1.2 million monthly downloads, which is honestly really incredible. I've gone on some really, really big ones that sent us a lot of business, a lot of credibility, a lot of authority, and I got to speak with a lot of cool people. So I'm a really big fan of podcasts. It's like just another marketing channel, right? It's just more eyeballs to yourself, your brand, whatever it was. But so let's talk a little bit more. So you join Scaling with Systems after the back and forth. You do the hour of my time, which, by the way, just so everyone, I never ever do an hour of time for literally anybody. It was just he had come to my house, and don't everyone message me and ask me for an hour of my time. But
I think really, actually, for everyone that's listening, people like money, man. So my first, literally, I messaged him, and my message was, hey, how much do I have to pay you?
Yeah,
for us to talk. And he threw the number out. I'm like, all right, done.
I think it was 30 minutes too, wasn't it?
It was 30 minutes.
Only 30
minutes.
30
minutes.
Which it ended up being a little over that too. I remember that. Yeah.
I mean, it's whatever. It is what it is. But the concept is like, I think go-getters, when they see other go-getters, they respect that. And so they give you their time, I
like that. No, that makes sense. But so we get your first client, you join Scaling with Systems, right? And I know one of the first things we did was get the virtual assistant, get the lead generation. But before we get into that, because that's what we talk about every single time, let's talk about kind of how we had like transform your offer a little bit from like just getting on the podcast to kind of what it is now. Because like now I really truly believe it's a really incredible service. I mean, I would argue obviously a little biased, but because you've taken my advice, I would say probably the most valuable one in this industry, because unfortunately PR firms, I have been burned. I mean, it's been brutal. I have lost last year. I lost almost $15,000, and loss is like legitimately lost. People saying, I'll get you on this, I'll get you on this, get you on this, and then never deliver. I get ghosted by them, et cetera, et cetera. So I've had a really bad taste in my mouth. But just like kind of the VA placement services, when I first got my virtual assistant, I always was like, man, if someone really knew what they were doing and they like did it correctly, there's a whole blue ocean of people in here that they could crush it in an absolutely dominant industry. And so we got together and like, I saw this as like, this is the guy that's going to do this and actually have like a great business in this industry. So originally it was just 7 podcasts, and that was good. And people were obviously paying you for that. But we discussed about like getting the ROI and actually like provable results. That way you can have like more stickiness and people kind of stay with you longer. So talk to me a little bit more about like that transition from just the 7, and then walk us through to like, what is everything included now that you guys work on, and why did you make those changes?
Yeah. Great question. So first thing I noticed was, I just want to mention to everybody, guys, I take no credit for anything I've accomplished. I really don't even think what I've done is anything special yet. And that's just probably just because of the goals I've set for myself. But I want to keep in mind and give credit to Ravi. I have a friend of mine named Joe. He's my sales coach. I have mentors in every corner. Like I have a mentor in marketing. I have a mentor in sales. I have a mentor in business. I have a mentor in systems. I have a mentor in fitness. I have it's like every little thing I go to somebody. And so I think the first stuff is the humility to kind of just admit that I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I want to do something. I really do. Like I will literally, I took the Scaling with Systems course in 1 weekend. I took the whole damn course. I systemized an entire freaking company in 1 weekend. I think I worked like 20 straight hours those 2 days. Like I barely slept. Because I was like, yo, I'm going to get this done. And then once it's done, I'll go chill. But this is going to happen because literally Ravi handed me a golden goose. He's like, hey, here you go, dude. And what he taught me was basically everything I was missing. I mean, I literally, the knowledge you taught me, bro, is probably what's going to take me to $1 billion plus. Like it's going to help me. It's just a baseline, because business is very simple now that I see it the way I see it. But first up, as I noticed, was longevity. I said, yo, if I'm going to create a business, it has to last. Podcasts are great. It's a high. People will pay a lot of money for it because they have no idea like what the price is. Like, it's like, how do you put a value on that?
It's like Instagram shout outs, like when Instagram was that when that was first
Yeah.
happening. It's like no one really knew how much to pay for like a shout out. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And unfortunately, there's a lot of douchies out there who take advantage of that and charge you an arm and a leg and make money. But I feel like, I mean, guys like who think like that are only in it for the short term. And yeah, you can make a couple $1 million quick, but then what? You know, what are you doing then? For me, I've always entered business with a couple of things in mind. A is legacy. B is creating something unique for my family that can last forever. And C is really, I mean, I remember I told you my number ever since, you know, we met. And, you know, even Ravi was like, whoa, that's you know, if you get there, let me know, bro. So
I did say that on the podcast.
Yeah. So I was like, I think really it's just the goals you set for yourself change the way you adapt. Like if everyone that's listening here says, I want to make $1 million in 24 months, then guess what? Your actions are going to prove that you're probably one day you won't go to work because you're like, I made 100K. I'm chilling. I'll be able to hit my goal in 24 months. I'm good. Right. But, you know, for me, I've always been like, dude, like, it's not the number. It's like, I need like to figure this out now, and I need to keep figuring it out. And I'm going to continue doing that. Like this offer probably in a year is going to be a completely different damn offer. Right. So it's realizing that, you know, the clients aren't going to last with me long term, because 3 months in, they're going to be like, okay, cool. I was on 21 podcasts. Now what? Like, what's happening now? So that was the first thing. The second thing that I also noticed was I wanted to, I genuinely just wanted to make my clients money. Like at the end of the day, there's only a couple things that really matter. A, money. B, shelter. And C, food. Like if you could provide those, you know, like, I mean, why is Amazon so freaking successful? Because they provide the basic needs of human. They just figured it out. They're like, hey, we're going to do this. And then actually it's funny. Speaking of Amazon, the third and last thing is I listened to people who are successful, right? And I was like, yo, Jeff Bezos obviously knows something. And so he was like, he in an interview of his, he got asked a question of like, why was Amazon so successful? And he always talks about that he's customer focused. You know, like he like Amazon barely started profiting, you know, like a decade later. So like to him, it was like customer centric. So I started asking myself the question, what does the customer want? Like in this industry, what is it that the customer wants? And after long, maybe a couple of days of just sitting there and just reflecting on it, what I when talking to you and other professionals in the space, what I noticed was that there was a lack of people wanted faster results, people wanted better results, and people wanted it in a cheaper bundled solution. That's what they want, right? That's what they want. Like they'd love to go to one guy, pay him like half the price of what they're paying their other PR firm to get everything, PR, lead gen, marketing, content, all that kind of shit. And then I asked myself, okay, why does that not exist? And I noticed, well, because it's a lot of work and costs are high. You're not making a lot of profits. And look, everyone that's listening to this, you don't got to do what I do. I mean, you can go ahead and get into whatever you want to get into. But I decided that I wanted to build a company that's going to last forever. And so I'm going to go ahead and eat the shit in the beginning, right? And so that's how the offer started to evolve. I was like, okay, so what do people actually want? And then I started looking at my personal brand. I'm like, wait, why am I generating so many freaking leads using Ravi's system? And what I noticed was A, I have a lot of content. B, I have a lot of social proof. C, I was on a lot of podcasts. And so I started to notice that podcasting is really just top of the funnel strategy. It's like great exposure so that when people come on the funnel, they see that you're on this guy's podcast, and they're like, oh, wow, this guy's like really legit, right? You know, it's all about making sure the eyeball sees what it needs to see. And so I noticed I just had like 10% of the formula figured out. And so what I started to do, I just started adding the rest. I was like, okay, so what else do I need to do? Okay, well, content, cool, let's add that. Well, I can't really create video content. That's a lot of freaking work. So what we do is we create educational images that revolves around the services or whatever it is that they offer. Plus we add in a little motivational quotes and shit like that. And we post daily, every single day, 30 days. Like there's not a single day for any of our clients. They love it, dude. They're like people. And then the last thing too is I wanted to be on a sales call and I want to be able to pitch someone what I do and like, all right, sign me up. That's what I was looking for. And so I launched this offer. Dude, I remember launching the offer the first day. I made $24,000.
I remember that. Yeah.
The
You're like,
first
holy shit,
day.
this works. You're like, this works well.
Yeah,
Wow.
dude. It just so happened that I already had a sales call set up that day from like 2 weeks ago. And I was like, all right, screw it. I'm just going to pitch it to them, see what they think. So I go through this freaking pitch deck that I made 5 minutes before the call. And literally, just to let you know, I had no systems in the back. And then, guys, if you're one of my clients listening to this, please, I'm sorry. I love you. Like, just know we'll take care of you. But, I had nothing set up. And I was just like, I got this. I walk into the sales call. I'm like, all right, guys, so here's the deal. We're going to get you content. We're going to get you booked on shows. We're going to do lead gen for you. You know what he said, dude? He said, yo, can I get my partner in on this? He sold me on getting 2 people extra. I was like, yeah, sure, dude. We can hook you up. And that was when I knew I had something. I was like, okay. When your sales call, when your lead tells you, hey, man, this is awesome. I want to do it. And I'm also going to pay an extra $10,000 so that my partner does it. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
That's when you know. And I want to touch really quickly because I feel like this is something that I see a lot of time with other people's offers. And, obviously we talk about lead generation, virtual assistants, ads, funnels, all that stuff. But like that is literally just one piece of a business. And like you can push a lot of traffic and eyeballs towards something, but if the offer is then like you're gonna make kind of money. You know what I mean? You're gonna have kind of impact. But like just remodeling, like Adam and I sitting down and being like, okay, like this, you need to start proving the ROI to these people, right? Just the podcast is not enough because I've seen this happen also with Max, my roommate, a client of mine as well. Like, sometimes video editing is not just enough. Like you have to start being able to see like, hey, because you're doing this, you're also making this kind of money. And a lot of times these, just like Adam said, is we helped identify that podcast is like 1% of the equation, right? It's like one small percentage of it. Like just a podcast on itself is not really going to make anybody any money. But if you're able to help them create lead magnets and sales funnels and follow up their leads and help them close it, then just like Adam said, it's like an entire process, like a done for you service. And the podcast, they could take out podcasts and they can put in Facebook ads, or you could take out Facebook ads. You can put in organic content marketing. Like those are all just different traffic sources that leads into the, and the reason I'm saying this, guys, is because like, I think before what Adam was selling was a mechanism. Hey, I'll get you on podcasts. That's a mechanism, right? Well, that you can sell mechanisms, right? You can sell Facebook ads, you can sell podcasts. Like that's a mechanism. But something we talk about scaling with systems is like you're selling a transformation for people, right? They're in a current state. They want to get to a desired state. And your mechanism is the way, that transformation is the way that they do it. And so their current state is not a whole lot of people know them, but maybe they have a great product or service. Their desired state is they are on podcasts. They're getting recognized by their peers, their family, their aunt, their cousin, their sister. And they also have leads that are listening to this podcast and then coming in the funnel that Adam's building for his clients and literally booking a time, learning all about them, and then getting on the phone and closing. So they're just waking up to booked appointments every day. So that's the desired state. And just podcast as a mechanism wasn't enough to get them from that problem state to that desired state. And so he sprinkled in those additional steps. And like Adam said, like, yes, it increases costs. And yes, it obviously lowers a profit margin. But I would argue that that's just going to be in the beginning while he figures this out and like kind of nails down the flow of things and maybe even gets a niche going. And then once he gets a niche going, you're just going to copy and paste that whole thing for that entire industry. And you're just going to literally set fire to everything there. Would you agree with that, Adam? Is that a pretty good?
100%. Yeah. I mean, you gotta think long-term in business, man. Like you got to get into the mindset of, yo, this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. Like, just like working out, you work out, Ravi, right? Like, do you ever go to the gym and say, yo, I'm going to get buff like tomorrow? Like, no, dude. Like, my goal is the next 12 to 24 months, or by the time I'm 60, I look good so that I don't die. That's the goal. And so when I got into business, it was like, yo, by the time I'm 40, 45, I would like to have an established business that is respected, that is admired, that is, looked up to, that people can, really go to. And also another thing too, guys, for me, a marketing agency is like it's a legacy play, because if you know how to market products, you can go build any company off of that. I mean, like that's why I don't really care about profit margins right now, because my goal is probably by the end of quarter one of next year to completely remove myself from the business and just to kind of have it automated and let it grow itself. And eventually just go off and use all those strategies we have to go build any other company overnight, and that's when I'm going to make money.
Yeah.
Right now, it's not a money play. Right now, it's like, yo, value, 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 prove your worth, prove your worth, prove your worth, eat shit, keep eating shit. And until you get to a point where people start to just die for you. Like that's really the move here.
And I think it's kind of cool too. And you'd said something just barely passed by, but I want everybody to kind of pay attention to what you had said here is that, like, one of the biggest things we teach in scaling with systems is obviously sales and marketing. And I would argue that the entrepreneur who understands sales and marketing, like to a T, the skill set that's involved inside of it, I promise you, like anybody that's watching this right now, if you are worried about next month's bills or, being able to take care of your family or whatever it is, you learn sales and marketing and you will never worry about that stuff ever again, because you could pick Adam up and put him into another company right now. You could tell him he has to start from scratch, whatever it is. And because of the skills that he's developed, launching this business, learning trainings, running ads, running lead generation, building funnels, it doesn't matter. I mean, like, and I tell that to people all the time. Like, if I lost all my money, like this week, I lost all my, all my assets. I didn't have my company anymore. I didn't have any employees. Obviously it would be kind of shitty, but I really am not that worried, because I would just literally start once again as a done for you service, bringing more money to other people. I just started like a lead generation or marketing agency. And now I know 1 million more times than what I did when I first started this about 2.5 years ago. So like, if you're an entrepreneur looking at this right now and you're like, oh, I want to be an engineer, I want to start learning the back end stuff, whatever it is, like I really, really challenge you to understand the marketing, the sales, and the product market fit side. So don't even worry about like the fulfillment yet. Like, we nailed Adam's fulfillment down after he had already proven that people were willing to pay to get on podcasts. And now, okay, they're willing to pay for that. What if we add in all these other different steps in here? And now it's just this irresistible offer. You throw a guarantee, some risk reversal, and all of a sudden it's just like, take my fucking credit card. I want to join your program as soon as possible. And I kind of want to shift gears here for a second. And I want to talk about, we have the offer down. You're starting to get a little bit of traction. Let's talk a little bit about the two things I want to do, then we'll wrap this up. The first is going to be, let's talk about lead generation. Everyone loves lead generation, right? What are you doing right now? Where are your target customers at? How are you keeping your calendars full? What does that look like for you and your company? How are you leveraging the virtual assistant from Scaling with Systems? And then on the other side of it, I also want to talk about just really quickly the personal development. You've gone from, $5,000-$6,000 a month to like $50,000 a month, how you've changed, that kind of stuff. So let's start with the lead generation side though, and just say, what are you guys doing to generate leads? How are you using the virtual assistant? How are you using the messaging? Like how full is your calendar? Talk to us about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I just officially, as of last week, removed myself from sales. So
nice, congratulations.
Thank you. Oh my God, man.
No,
dude, I'm nerding out over systems now. I love it. Like I'm just sitting there just structuring the company. Like to this week, I'm just gonna be completely adjusting our SOPs so that everything's on auto. But anyway, we actually launched paid for like 2 weeks. And then I was like, I don't need this, dude. Like I stopped. We're generating 15 to 30 leads a day organically.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, what the hell do my pipeline is so stupid full. Like I think I actually stopped. The past 2 weeks, I told, yo guys, we're going to stop and we're going to fulfill these like 7 to 8 clients that we just onboarded in a matter of a week and a half. And we're going to make sure they get their results because they're paying us. And I don't got the freaking time right now to worry about sales calls. And so I actually had to stop generating leads for a good 2 weeks. Slowed me down, but screw it. As I said, I'm working a marathon here. So, sometimes you got to go 2 steps back to pull 10 steps forward. And we just, as of Monday, finally released it again. And freaking Monday, we generated 30 leads. Tuesday, we generated 20. Today, we're
wow. Just like that, turned it back on again.
Just like that. It's like this.
Love it.
It's all organic. So we have it's all LinkedIn. I'm not even using so Facebook. I only using 2 accounts on Facebook. So I have me and the guy that I brought on, or the partner that I brought on for sales. Shout out to you, Jesus, if you watch this. God bless you. And then that's another thing, guys. Your team is everything, man. Like it's everything. Like seriously, I think the greatest thing that I learned throughout all of this is like you work for them, they don't work for you. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, it's all organic through Facebook and it's all organic through LinkedIn. What we do is we just send out outreach messages, and as I mentioned, I think the same strategy we utilize for our clients we use for ourselves. Just because of all the social proof I have, the podcast that I have, which 2021 hopefully for me is going to be a big year for the podcast because that's what I'm going to go full time on. It helps generate us all these stupid leads, way more than I would say that your average profile does, and we just get, that's it really. And we're generating, we have like one VA that we got from you, and she's awesome, Tessie. She's just making sure everything goes to the calendar, and then I have an inside sales agent here who I pay off of commission for every enrollment club booked, and guy's 18 years old, crushing it, making a crap ton of money, and he's just loving it, and he's just killing it, right? And so that's how the setup was. It was just me and two other people. And originally we just, first week I was like, right, let's do this. And the second week we started generating more leads and more appointments. And it just continued to grow and grow and grow from there. Now I'm kind of just letting it run its thing. Like I'm just, it's a risk. I'm scared right now. I'm definitely not, like you talk about, what has been your development personally. There's been a lot.
Yeah, I wanted to just kind of touch on that. And by the way, guys, just so we can be respectful for everyone's time, we'll wrap this up in about 10 minutes. Adam's going to talk about kind of his personal journey from where he was at, learning systems, kind of his mind being opened, having this new money coming in. But also, if anybody has any questions, I'm going to try to keep an eye out below on the Q&A box. I saw some pop up, but they kind of got lost. So if you guys just ask a question, if you guys have any while Adam's talking here, and then we'll answer them at the end. Go ahead, Adam. Didn't mean to interrupt you, sir.
No, you're good, dude. So yeah, that's kind of how we like right now generating leads all organically. I'm not doing any paid ads at all, and I don't think I'm gonna need to do it for another couple months. I think I could literally scale the agency probably to maybe $200,000 a month organically. Like I don't like with the way we're going right now. There's really no need.
I totally think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not really tripping. Now in terms of mental personal development, wow, that's a big one right there. I think more than anything, the personal development. When you make money, you start to realize a lot of things about yourself. And I was actually pretty content with what came up. I was kind of scared to meet that person, but I was like, it's not that bad. I'm like, I cut off a couple friends in my life. I broke up with my girl. We were going through a tough relationship. We were actually engaged.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I keep my life very low key, but I was engaged. All throughout this, so it was tough because like she was there for me when I had nothing. She was financially supporting me, and the moment I started making money, we broke up. I was like, oh fudge, like I felt like a complete dick. But life happens. A lot went from a personal development standpoint, and it's still going. I think entrepreneurship is definitely not made for everybody. It's I think it's a huge on social media. It's so looked up upon like, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to work for myself. I want to do this. I want to do that. And I meet some people who say that. It seems like they're just bleh. Like, they're just saying things. They don't actually want it, but they're just saying it. And so that was like a big realization was like, oh, okay, I could see why not a lot of people make it through this. I could see it. Like I'm totally empathetic towards. Like I get it. Like if you get to a point where you're like, yo, this is too much for me. Like I understand. Like I'm not mad at you for it. I don't think you're a weirdo for it. I think it takes a certain person to push through. Second is realizing that there's always going to be losses. There's always going to be wins. You got to just be just ride the wave. Like don't allow a win to affect you that much, and don't allow a loss to affect you that much. Just stay at the same level. You close the deal, cool, let's keep going. You don't close the deal, cool, let's keep going. You bring on a client and he ends up, not paying you or whatever. So okay, cool, keep going, figure it out, be in do mode. Do action. Don't contemplate. No, contemplation is key. That's the wrong word to use. Don't sit there and think of the past too much, because every minute you spend doing that is a minute you lost. You could have been fixing it, or you could have been moving on. And so I'm just always in do mode now, bro. Like I wake up in the morning, I'm like, all right, yesterday was yesterday. What can we do to improve today? Let's do it again and again and again and again and again. I mean, Actually, really full transparency, everybody that's on this call. Biggest challenge I have personally is, staying consistent and waking up early. Seriously, because I'm like kind of like a night owl. Like I like to do a lot of work at night, and I'm trying to switch that up because I'm like, okay, I have a team now. I kind of have to like show up. I have to, be there. And I feel like just really being open about these things is something that I really would love to introduce into this world of entrepreneurship of like, yo, we're all human, bro. Like
Yeah.
we have our thing, like, there's like, cool, you look badass, you're doing all this awesome stuff, but let's talk about, the shit that comes with it. Cause there's a lot. And so we could sit here and talk for hours, dude, about,
No, I know, but that's super,
you know,
super valuable. I like this, a lot of the stuff you said there, especially I talk about it as well, like emotional variance. Like, if you like, yeah, it's cool to make celebrations. Don't get me wrong. But if you are like, you have a big win, like we have a $50,000, $60,000 day, if I ride that too high, then I'll also, let's say we lose 30 grand in a day with ads or whatever else it is. I'll let that hit my low. And instead of riding these roller coasters, like people do it in their lives too. They go, their work all week. They hate their work. Then the weekend comes and they love their weekend. Then it's back to work again. And it's just like, you don't really grow that way. But if you know anything about like the compound effect, the slide edge stuff that I talk about all the time, it's just like, you wins, losses, whatever it is on this scale. It's just like, you just keep on moving. Like, well, it doesn't matter. You're just a fucking train. You're literally just like, you're like The Rock. You're like Dwayne Rock Johnson. It's just like, it doesn't matter if it's good or it's bad. You're just fucking moving forward. So I could not agree anymore. Adam, we have a few questions for you, brother, that people are messaging us here.
sure.
So first one is from somebody who said, how would you help a dating app? I guess. So I guess how would you help like a dating app? So I'm assuming a founder of a dating app, let's say on a podcast. What would be the tips on that? I don't know if that's for me or for you, but let's assume it's for you.
I'm sure we could both pitch in on this.
Sure.
Yeah. So, how would I help a dating app get the publicity type of thing? Is
Yeah, I
that?
think like getting the eyeballs they need to be getting.
Um. So really, you want to, when it comes to PR, you want to think of the end goal. You keep the end goal in mind always when you get into it. So, you want to ask yourself, and this is like typical. This is the same system that applies to everything. How do I want to be known? And don't undermine or don't underestimate the power of, word of mouth. Like, damn, dude, like that is the most powerful form of marketing. And so you want to really make sure that, if you do get yourself on podcasts, if you do get yourself out there, you want to make sure to have your story straight. You want to make sure, you understand what you're doing. And the biggest thing that I tell people is keep it concise and short, because conciseness and shortness and directiveness means that you know what you're doing.
Yep.
If you try to fill in the gaps, talk too much, overdo it, that means you have no idea what you're talking about. So, I mean, this is just like simple advice for everybody that's watching, dating app or not. But I don't really kind of like, that's a very vague question, but
Yeah, I mean, and I would say as well, like, how would you help a dating app? Like you just said, very, 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 very vague question. But you're not a dating app. Is the first the piece of advice I give you is you're not a dating app, right? You're helping people go from this current problem state that they're in to this desired state, right? Finding true love, or maybe it's not finding true love. Maybe it's like getting laid every single weekend. I don't know, whatever the dating app promise is, but like it's not. You need to know what your marketplace wants. A dating app is a mechanism, once again, guys. So like remember, you're selling this end transformation for these people, not a dating app. That's just the way you're doing it. How did you connect with big names to be on your podcast? I think you said Dan Fleischman. So did you have Dan Fleischman on there?
yeah,
Yeah.
twice.
So you said, how'd you connect with the big names to be on your podcast?
You got to realize they're not big names. They're human. That's it. I'm dead serious. They're human. Like, I was at the gym today. I saw Ed Milet. I'm like, hey, what's up, dude? How you doing? Fist bumped him and walked away. That's it. In his head, I could totally tell he was looking at me like waiting for me to ask him for like a picture or something. Cause like he took off his mask and he's like, yeah, how are you? How's everything? I'm like, good, man. Hey, it was good seeing you. Ah, you too. And I just walk away and I continue my workout. I do that shit purposely. You know why? Because the next time I see him, he's gonna be like, wait, what the hell? Why did this guy not do what everybody else does?
Yeah.
Fangirl and ask me for a pic and go crazy, put on their Insta story, all this kind of stuff. I don't do that because I don't care about you that much. Like, seriously, I don't. Like, I respect you. I respect Dan. I respect Ed. I respect Tom. I respect every person I know, Larry King, all these big names. I respect them for their accomplishments. But would I ever hang out with them? Would I ever go out and have dinner with them? Some of them, yeah. Some of them, hell no. Hell no. Why? Because they don't match my morals. They don't match my values. They don't do what I do. I mean, I'm Muslim. I pray 5 times a day. I do these things, you know, like I have a specific set of things that I expect from a homie, right? And and so like that's step one is humanize them, right? Stop making them seem like they're so goddamn, this thing. They're all human, all right? And then step two is once you humanize them, now you can kind of have a more concise, more kind of calm approach and a more strategic approach. Now you could start thinking because when you're so caught up with, oh my God, 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 what do I do? Oh my God, what do I say? You're never gonna get anything done, right? But when you like chill out and you're like, all right, it's Dan, it's Ed, it's cool, right? Whatever. All right, so what do these guys want? All right, so you got to keep it real with yourself. They get 100,000 DMs a day, right? So like, I mean, not literally, but you get my point. They get thousands of DMs all the time. So you're nothing special, right? So put that out of the way. And then B, the way I started is you want to build a network. The way I do it is I would like whiteboard, like say right here. And then on top of the family tree, I would like put the name that I want to get in front of. Let's say we're going to shoot for Ed Milet, right? And then I would just put on branches. Okay. Who does Ed Milet know? All right, he knows this guy. He knows this guy. He knows this guy. Is this guy accessible? Is it easier to get in front of? No. Okay, who do those guys know? And then I would keep playing that until I get to somebody who I could literally text right now and say, hi, how are you? This is what I want. What can I do to make it worth your time? And that brings me to my final point. Don't be embarrassed to be direct. Don't be afraid to tell people what you want, right? Because at the end of the day, we all want something. Right? You know how I say we're all human? It's just how you want something, he wants something too, bro. So like I would literally like, for example, I'll give you a great example. How I got in front of Larry King. All right. I knew Casey Adams. I know Casey Adams really well. Awesome guy. Awesome kid. He's killing it in the podcast space. He had a event in Arizona. I live in California. Right? It's a 6-hour drive. He hits me up, DMs me. I see his story like 2 days before the event. And I was like, yo, I got to get in front of Casey because Casey knows a lot of people. He's my age. We can vibe. It's easier to get in front of him, right? I see his story. I'm like, done. I literally take my car. I hit up my friend. I'm like, yo, what's going on? Are you free Saturday? We're driving to freaking Arizona. I was like, what? I'm like, yeah, we are. So I get in the car. I literally drive 6 hours just to show up to an event for an hour and a half. Okay. I get into his house. I'm like, hey, Casey, what's up? How are you? Good to meet you. And then I just go chill in the back. Again, like I mentioned, he's human, so I don't overreact. Everyone was like, oh my God, Casey, hey, Casey, hey, Casey. They're going crazy. Photos, pics, everything, all that shit. I was just quiet, just chilling in the back, doing my thing. And then like I stay strategic. I found a moment in time where I was like, oh, he's quiet, he's calm. I came up to him like, hey, Casey, look, man, I know I didn't want to really approach you when everything crazy going on. He's like, yeah, dude, freaking today's been nuts. I'm like, yeah, I get it, man. You're like a freaking center of attention today. I just want to say I really appreciate you for hosting this, and I think it's awesome. I'd love to invite you out for dinner after this. What do you think? And he looks at me, he's like, yeah, sure, dude. I'm like, all right, awesome, cool. And that's it. I walk away. Event's done. Everyone leaves. And he looks at me, he's like, yo, Adam, I'm really tired. Do you think we just chill at home? I'm like, yeah, sure. No worries. We order pizza. And it's me, Casey, and his homies just vibing out. So like, again, because he's human. So I'm like, yo, if this was just a normal dude, how do I get in front of the normal dude? And so we got to know each other. And then one day he hits me up. He's like, yo, I need help creating this content. Can you do it for me? I had no idea. Like I didn't have shit. I was like, yeah, I got you. Don't worry about it. Right. I went and I paid someone like $400 to edit clips for him. Right. And he got him like 6 clips. Loved them. And then afterwards, he hits me up out of nowhere, out of the blue. By the way, I was setting myself up for this. I knew this was going to happen. But again, and then the final thing I want to tell everybody is patience is so key, right? Patience. Be very patient. A month and a half passes, and I'm just providing a shit ton of value to him. Always hitting him up. Hey, is there anything I can do? Is there anything I can do to help? Is there anything I can do to help? That's all I ever did. Is there anything I can do to help? Is there anything? And I'm sure, Ravi, you notice it too. You know how like I'm trying to get you on Ed's podcast? Like I do this purposely. Because I first off, I love helping others just because it's fun. I like if I can pull it off for you, bro, it'd be sick as shit. Like I'd love to see that happen because you deserve the success. Obviously, you've accumulated, and I respect you for it. And then B, people, the whole law of reciprocation, it kicks in hardcore. But don't ever ask for it. And so he randomly hits me up out of nowhere. He's like, hey, dude, keep this between me and you low key, but I just got Larry King on the podcast and I don't know. I don't really have a crew to film. I know you're like in the media space. This was the time when I had the show only. could you help? I'm like, yeah, done. Got it. Don't worry about it. Bro, I paid, I think I paid someone like $800 or something that day. We showed up with 5 cameras, a whole fucking crew, and we went and we filmed the whole fucking episode for him. But guess what happened afterwards? Chance King, his son was there. Hey, what's up, Chance? My name's Adam. Nice to meet you. Oh, what's up, dude? How you doing? How's everything? And by the way, I could literally show you my text messages right now. It literally says, like, if I show it to you, he just texted me today morning just to check in on me. He was like, right there. It says, I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's like right there. It says Chance King, right? He's like, yo, what's up? How you been, my man? And so I got to know Chance. And then I was like, I got to know Chance, and now I do it again. Bro, that whole process took me 8 months. But guess what happened? I am now the guy who can say I booked Ed Milet on Larry King's podcast. I am now the guy who can say I know Larry King personally. I am not. You see my point, though? Like,
Sure.
it's like it's very strategic, but it's also like, just to kind of keep it concise for everybody that's listening, a couple of things, bullet points that I mentioned. A, humanize a person. Don't make them so big in their head. B, be strategic about your approach. I know, take it step by step. Try to create like a tree, see who you can get in front of first, provide value for that person, keep providing value with the intention set up front. Hey, Casey, if I do this for you, will you let me get in front of this guy? And the answer was yes. And I went ahead and did it. It was very intentional. And then C, be patient as a motherfucker. Right?
I love that. Yeah, that's hilarious and super, super valuable, incredibly valuable. And I've heard somebody else break it down a similar way, just like Adam did a second ago, that had to do with just like the long-term value giving game, which I absolutely loved. I want to wrap this up for everybody here to be respectful for everyone's time. Adam, thank you so much for being on here, my man. If you guys got some value out of this, you guys liked everything Adam said, you guys are going to take some action from something you listen to on this video, make sure you comment down Adam below just so we can see. I want to see who watched everything from the beginning to the end, who got some really awesome value out of it. Just comment Adam down below.
Tag me. I want to see this.
And on top of it, I want to say too, like, I remember when I first started going to events and people started walking up to me and like taking photos with me, and I'm like, what are you doing? I'm not anybody. Like, why are you taking photos with me? And so it kind of goes along that route. Like, obviously I'm not even 1/1 billionth the level of the guys that you were talking about there, but it is like, I have talked to other really, really like high level guys, people that are making multi 9 figures. I mean, movie stars, and they all it's the exact same thing that Adam just said. It's like, everybody's human. And the other big thing that I love that you said, Adam, was like, everybody has needs. And if you go forward with adding value, which, by the way that Adam got me on a call with him, he said, hey, I want to pay you for 30 minutes of your time. I'm like, all right, cool. So I actually responded to that message when I get 150 messages a day, right? Or, hey, is there any way I can add value to you? Hey, do you need a video crew? Hey, do you need these videos edited, right? So if you don't have money, you usually have time. So try to lead with that. If you guys are trying to do something, you're trying to get access to somebody. And then the final thing that I love that you said, which I'm a little impatient to do, but I guess I'm inadvertently doing it right now through you too, is like having somebody connected to somebody and they make the introduction, whatever. And that's how business used to be done before scaling with systems and ads and funnels and virtual assistants. It was just like the good old fashioned handshake, networking. He knows you, you know him, whatever it is. So super, super valuable. And just like a lot of things in life, like, as we get more digital and they have more sales funnels and VAs and ads, actually that kind of one-on-one is actually wanted more, right? It's needed more. People are hungry for that in their lives. So I think we're in a cool place in life where that is.
Also,
Adam,
I just want to
go ahead
real quick before we finalize this. I'm actually also at a point now where I also want everybody to understand that, you only have to do that in the beginning. Maybe this is a little egotistical of me to say, but fuck it. But like today when I saw Ed, I purposely do certain things, and if Ed somehow listens to this, whatever, man, I just know I respect you and love you for everything you do. I purposely like just had a 30-second combo and I walked away because I want him to leave that gym, be like, what the fuck was that? Like, what happened there? And then I want my noise that I'm creating to make him want me. And so I just want to drop that for everybody out there. Guys, if you're having a chase, you got to really reflect. Yeah. Because like hot girls don't chase. I'm just saying.
we'll let Adam end on that line right there. That's too funny. Awesome, Adam. I really do appreciate you hopping on here, man. Thanks for the value you drop for everybody. If anybody is looking for getting on podcasts, learning a little bit more about what Adam's talking about, maybe some of the networking connections. Adam, where's the best place people kind of send you a message or get to know you?
Dude, all over social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, at Adam Totounji. You guys just shoot me a DM. Let me know you came from Ravi's live, and I'll take care of you.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Talk to you guys all soon.